This is a it's a weak treatment. The option C is joined by the blood. It's too risky, right?
Order canceled.
It's a good try. Yeah, it's a lot. Right? Yeah, but I feel stuff. I feel things.
so that we can make sure that we answer any questions. You guys get a clear understanding of, what you should be looking at, and, use Salesforce to help drive your sales and take it to the next level. So with that, just kind of high level overview, looking at Salesforce, kind of what we want to get out of this call is, ensuring that you have a good understanding of what you should be looking for in Salesforce, what kind of questions you should be asking your team, as well as, kind of the basics for what a deep dive looks like, what your conversations in Salesforce should look like, how solution-based selling ties into Salesforce, and how it should be noted as well, and kind of talk a little bit about, your coaching throughout it as well.
The shirt? Purple?
Okay, so digging into it, I'm kind of just going to start mostly on, really kind of, I'm more familiar with the Home Depot side, so we're going to kind of use a lot of the Home Depot reports, although really the back side of this is all very similar to whether it be Home Depot or retail. So we're going to run you through some different things, and just kind of start with the very basics of Salesforce. So if I'm sitting down with an ASDS, SCDS, or even an SDC's home screen is going to look a little bit different, but basically it's going to be the same stuff. This is their home screen. Now, when you look at it, a couple categories on here that I want you to pay really close attention to. Now, there's more stuff on here that we can get more into depth, but we're going to kind of just start with the basics and start with the things that you really want to make sure that we're clean on, and our team should be hitting on this stuff 100%. So when we look at this, we look at my ops without activity. Ideally, at the end of the day, this should be at 0, meaning that all new opportunities that came in that day were worked. This category should be 0. The one just beneath it, open unconverted leads, at the end of the day should hit 0 as well. Now that's a little bit different for retail. I know you guys don't convert everything, but it should still be worked. So you have a similar report that shows worked leads. You want to make sure that your all new leads and opportunities at the end of the day are worked. We don't want to let any customer slip through the cracks because we don't know if that customer stopped by Home Depot, put in an inquiry online, whatever they did, and then also put in an inquiry at multiple other places. Stopped at a shed guy on the side of the road on the way home, whatever that might be. We want to make sure that we have speed to lead and we get those customers taken care of. And then the third category that should be 0 at the end of the day is this one right here, which is HD ASM opportunities with no future task, which means that either they had a task that was due that day that they didn't do, or there's no task at all. Again, that should be pretty regularly hit 0. If we work these three reports to 0 every day, we're going to be in a really good spot in Salesforce. So obviously when I'm looking at their home screen, I can see that. So this is what if I'm sitting right next to them, I'm going to work with them on that. If you want to be able to review this remotely, you're going to open up your dashboards. For the DSMs on the Home Depot side, most of your 3 dashboards that you are going to use are all going to start with Home Depot DSM. So if you simply go up to the search bar and hit Home Depot DSM, probably should have put Depot in there. And then I believe retail is working on getting some similar style reports put together here. So you search Home Depot DSM, you can see the 2 dashboards. We have an activities dashboard and an opportunity dashboard. I'm going to start with the opportunity dashboard and just kind of run through what you see on this dashboard as well. So this one is new leads and opportunities today. You can see them right there. Leads and opportunities yesterday, month to date. So again, we got that stuff there. So here's the report we talked about, opportunities with no activity. So these are the new items. Right now I have it filtered to a specific region. I'm just going to go ahead and open it up to all so I can see everything at the same time. New ASDS opportunities with no activity. So, right, looking at it, what do you guys see? What do you guys think? If I look at it really high level, what are my red flags?
A lot of opportunity, new customers that need to be called.
Lots, right? So like is it realistic to believe that Ronald Jones has 24 new customers from today, being that it's 10 o'clock in the morning in the Central? I don't know where Ronald is, so. What do you guys think? Realistic, unrealistic? Probably something wrong there.
Unrealistic.
Definitely unrealistic.
I would say realistically at this time of the morning, now granted I get it's 11 on the East Coast, but even then, I would almost say anybody that's above 4 is probably concerning. Like that's a concern. Without me even digging into the report, I could pretty much say anybody that's above 4 is a little bit concerning. Now, if I hit view report, this is where you can dig in a little bit deeper. And now, granted, you guys all have smaller areas, and this is part of the reason we have we did this, so you guys can really pay close attention to this, so we can ensure our customers get called quickly. So, looking at this right from the start, you should be seeing in this category where it says age, you should see nothing more than a 1, meaning that ideally you want to see zeros. But meaning that it came in today. But I understand, look, if it came in yesterday at 7 p.m., they're probably not going to work it last night. But we want to dig into this. So if I'm looking at this, I'm looking at Alan Lindroth. So right at the top, Mary Martin, concerning, it's 3 days old. So not only does Alan have a bunch from yesterday, but he's got 2 that are 3 days old, which are the same customer, 2 that are 2 days old, which are the same customer. So I've got concerns. Now, if you want to dig a little bit deeper into this and say, okay, Mary Martin, what's going on with her? Did he really forget to call her? You can click into the opportunity. I can see that, and I can look at his notes. Of course, we know there aren't going to be any. But on the right-hand side, I can see how many opportunities I have on this account. So in this case, what I'm seeing with Alan is if I hit view all, he's got 3. The good news is Mary Martin is already sold. The opportunity here is that Alan isn't maintaining his sales force very well because he didn't close these out. So he's creating noise within Salesforce, which makes things harder to handle. What else could happen by him not closing out these opportunities?
Future tasks.
Well, it's going to be on that report, so it's making noise on that report. But what else could happen? Promotions, right? So if we sold, and again, this isn't a promo close, but let's just say it for instance, if we sold Mary Martin on Wednesday of the Home Depot promo close, or the last day of the month on a retail promo close, and we leave opportunities open. Now on retail, this is a little bit easier because you don't have multiple opportunities for the same customer. But on the Depot side, we do. If you leave them open, they're going to get another marketing email that's going to say, here's the new promo. And wouldn't if Mary Martin's like, oh, that promo's better than the one I got yesterday. Now you've created a whole bunch of work, and now we're doing extra stuff. Because now we have to cancel an order, we have to modify an order, we've got a customer that's confused. We've also got a customer that even if they're very happy with the promo, we're sending them marketing material that they just don't want because they've already bought shit. So what Alan should have done with Mary Martin is went into this opportunity, very simply moved it to lost, put the lost reason in as duplicate, save it, and then you'll notice there's this quote follow-up down here. We would just click on that, click cancel, and hit save. And we've updated that, so it's in the right stage. And then we would just do the same thing with the other one. And the reason I mark that task as canceled versus completed is if I mark it as completed, it makes it look like I did an activity today, which didn't really happen, right? Because I'm just closing it out as a tool. So the good news is with Mary Martin is that Alan didn't let her go for 3 days. He just didn't close her out. So if I want to dig into that same thing with Adrian, I can click on to Adrian, scroll down to the right, Again, you can hit view all here. Look, the sold one is here. So the good news is, again, we did sell the customer. So that's positive. But we've got 3 opportunities within this customer. Again,
Those be putting notes in the system that will allow us to remember how to build a rapport and a relationship with the customer. If they touch on specific things, that will make it easy for us there.
yeah, any personal details, they're going on vacation, whatever it might be, anything that pertains to your conversation that you learned about it. But what they're using it for, but what else? There's a lot more stuff we want to.
Who's gonna use the shed?
Who's going to use it? Who's going to be involved in the decision? That's important, right? Like if we're not establishing this in the notes, you're not going to remember. Like remember, our teams have, hundreds, if not, a couple thousand opportunities. If a customer goes dormant for 6 months or, gets tied up with something else, are you going to, what do you want to remember about this customer? So that's where that personal details comes into play. Who else is involved? Is it a husband or wife that's involved? Is it is it for a business, somebody else? Whatever it is, you want to put that note into it. But what other details do we want to know so that, we can make sure that the design that we build for them meets all their needs?
The site.
If there's HOA or if they have a certain budget in mind, if they're open to financing.
Financing for sure. I'll be real careful when you ask a customer what's your budget, because I don't really like saying what's your budget because that sort of pulls away from what we want to do with solution-based selling. Because if you say what your budget is, it's all about cost, right? And we're trying to avoid building a shed with cost. Especially it's a big opportunity for us on the Depot channel. Retail has an average adds about 1,400 more options to their sheds and has a much higher average ticket because, I think the one thing that retail is kind of a little bit ahead of us on is, that option sale and taking cost out of the factor because we could drive those numbers up significantly. So if you ask a customer the budget, no one's going to tell you that it's unlimited. I think the key is, we want to solve their pain points. So the one question that you guys missed on is, what has changed in your life that has made you want to get a shed? So is that, they're a couple, husband and wife, they're having their first kid, they had a spare bedroom in the house, now they don't, so that room was kind of used for storage, now they need the shed for storage. Their kid just turned 16, they're getting another car, they need to get part of the garage emptied out because they need the space. Mother-in-law is moving in, they need extra storage. What is the pain point that's changed in their life? The reason why they want to get another shed? Because remember, we talked about that rapport that we're building with the customer, and that's part of the rapport. What's changed that made you decide to get a shed? Like, I don't think it was spur of the moment. Nobody just buys a shed because they walked into a Home Depot or walked into a retail center and decided, I think I'm just going to pick up a shed today. It's not like picking up a gallon of milk where or picking up a box of donuts because you had a taste for them that day. There's something that's changed in it. So who's involved in the decision making? what's changed in their life, what they're going to use it for, what they're going to put in it. Super important to determine what they're going to put in it, because that leads you down the path of what? Like if they tell you they're going to put a tractor in it, you automatically know double door, ramps, treated floors, and upgrade. They should sell to everybody. You want to find out the information from the customer, so when you sell them different options, they make better sense, right? So like you talk about keyless lock, that's the big push. We want to push keyless locks because it's an added benefit that everyone's gonna love once they get it. But think about just saying, when you said who's gonna use the shed? Oh, well, the whole family's gonna use the shed. Well, how many people are in your family? How many kids come with the shed? Anybody else? Any questions so far? Makes sense kind of what we look at? Kind of see when you start to dig in, you can kind of just take everything to the next level. So I'm not going to go through and close all of Alan's dupes out here, but he needs to get that taken care of. So I'm just going to stick with Alan because we see a little bit of a pattern. Barry Childress. Looks like Alan might be actually working his stuff right now because his number dropped a little bit. Again, open opportunities on the account. Same thing. I don't know why he has so many. Actually sold it on 12/26. A little bit confusing why he's got customers that are getting quoted after they're sold. By Alan, so that'd be something I would ask. Like, why are maybe there's a conversation that he had with the customer, somewhere around there. So you can tell this would appear to possibly be his first note. And again, he's missing the who, what, where, why. You know, we had a conversation with the customer. It looks like we added some upgrades. This is the one that we sold. You know, the good news on this one, you know, he's got some ramps, single door. So sort of question that a little bit, you know, a little bit worried when you sell a single door with ramps, just because, you know, not to say that they wouldn't need them, but just a little bit odd. He's got the house wrap. Got some decent options on there. No keyless. Drip cap though. Got drip cap. So he's good at that option. So I would look at that as an option of, you know, why are we, you know, what do you need to work on option wise? And you can start to see some patterns too. Like if they're not good at selling a particular option, it's often because they're just not quoting it. Like, you know, you talk to Amy Fredericks in Minnesota, who sold the most keyless locks out of anybody on the HD side. And quite honestly, Amy, I can tell you, if you've not, of course, you've not met Amy, she is not a super aggressive out there salesperson. She's just very regimented in what she does. She listens to the customer and she sells them on the benefits of the keyless lock because she puts it on every quote. That's really her answer. So, you know, that's where you can dig in and see, you know, where somebody's missing. And it might be keyless locks. It could be, you know, treated floor, radiant barrier. It could be lifetime shingles. It could be whatever option you want to dig into to see, you know, what's missing in their presentation. But often it's very simple. We're just not listening to the customer to see what they're using their shed for, you know, and we could sell more options. And that could be shelving. Like, who doesn't need shelving in their shed? You know, most customers could definitely benefit from shelving. They could benefit from the keyless lock. So just, you know, as you're digging into Salesforce, you know, this is how you tie it all together and put solution-based selling into it as well. And you can see Alan's got a problem with duplicates. So he's kind of off on that. So looking at the twos. So again, I'm looking at the opportunities here. Now, the other thing that kind of jumps out at me when I see certain things here too is, you know, what the source code is and why it's 4 days old. So if I drop down here to Cartney Sharp and I'm looking at Noel Vela, it's an HDA. So for the retail side, HDA means it was generated by us. That would be the same as a TS.
What is that? TSS, Chris. Would be same as a
TSS. Yeah, TSS. That's what I was thinking of. Thought that was on the tip of my tongue. Same as a TSS. So I go in, and the reason that's concerning is we know that in this case, Cartney talked to Noel because Cartney put this in the system. Like, so she built the quote. So we look at it. So we know that she built the quote. We know she's talked to the customer. Now, the good news is the customer sold. Bad news is, you know, we left this one open. So same thing. The one thing I want to look for is, you know, we look at the first one. So this is 1129. That's the first one that Cartney put into the system. Called and emailed customer to follow up. If you look at the details on this one started out as an HDI. So this is a great example because for those of you who sometimes say, oh, you know, that win a shed doesn't work. You know, you'll have your team say, everybody just wanted to win a shed. That's why they put it in. Well, this is an awesome example of that's not always the case. Some of the customers that want to win a shed actually wanted one. So this was an HDI. This was the customer that scanned the win a shed, advertised contest. You can see that one right there. And from 1129 to 1226, customer actually bought it. So that is awesome. Now, granted, there are a lot of people that scan the thing that they only want to win, but this is a way that we can get those customers turned into it, and you want to do it. But what was missing on this initial interaction?
All of the detail of who's going to use it, what, who, what, where, why.
Yeah, she definitely at some points talked to the customer because she sold it. So like this one should be canceled. She already marked it off as lost, so that one's good. Let's just take a look. So let's go through the whole story. So this one is where she's got more stuff in here. Let's see. So more notes, but still not really what we're looking for. We got reminders, winter shed event, all that good stuff. But, this one again, she should have marked it as, loss to save. Mark as current state. And this one she partially closed, but didn't quite finish. So just an opportunity with notes. Like, she definitely interacted with the customer. She definitely followed up with the customer, but we're missing those keynotes that really talk about what the customer's using the shed for. And just a great example of why we need to follow up with every customer. Because the scary part is you'll dig into some of these HDIs. And, same thing on the retail side where you see, a bunch of leads that we get from the Win a Shed when we do a home show. And we get team members that just assume the customer wanted to win, and that's the only reason they're in the system. So we just got to make sure our team doesn't give up. They really follow call cadence so that we don't let any customers slip through the cracks. Because there's stories that you can just find at random of why we don't want to do that. So same thing here, Cesar Romero, he's got 3 that are all, or 5 that are 3 days old, 1 that's 2 days old. So that's a concern. And when you see that, that's where you really probably want to, pick up the phone and make a phone call. What's going on? Why are you this many days behind on Salesforce? Because it's concerning. So, we'll just pick one at random. Just want to see if there's, maybe they got more opportunities, and they don't. So this one's got 1 opportunity. It's the only one, and it is 100% unworked. So, that's something that I'm digging in. I'm making a phone call. I'm saying, hey, Cesar, what's going on? Why are we not calling these customers? Going down to Dominic, I think Dominic is new. He's got a bunch that are old, that are aging very significantly. So again, things that we want to make a phone call to find out what's going on. So you guys want to watch the picture of these.
I think it's relevant to this particular stage. You can either share it or I can share my screen. I can pull up. Yeah, I'm looking for the retail sales dashboard.
because we do have a dashboard just for you guys that are on retail that's going to give you some of the similar data, but you have to, if you scroll down, Chris, towards the bottom, you're going to see opportunities with overdue tasks. You're going to see opportunities with no future task. You're going to see leads from yesterday as well. So you can go into this any of these sections and do the same exact thing that Chris is doing, and be able to look exactly by lead source and leads by month, what's going on with your leads. You also, at the top of this dashboard, can sort this down to factory, just like the other ones. Or by region. Yeah.
You can take a look. So same thing Mike said, you know, if you want to look at, like, you know, Don Lewis has got 26 new leads yesterday. I can click into it. Now, the good news on retail is you guys don't have to deal with duplicates. I don't know how we got that many new leads, but that's pretty cool. You know, you can see, you know, what was the cadence? What does it look like? I go right into the opportunity. And in fact, if you look at this, he doesn't have any activity on this customer. You know.
So this is where you can go, and I mean, you're obviously looking for quality touches, team, right? As the DSM, this would be an opportunity. You know, you got to wonder what is it they're doing, right? What is it? You know, reach out. Well, there's no notes. Did he get hold of the customer? Did he call a customer? And that's what it looks like most of these leads in his bank from yesterday were. He got a lot of activities yesterday, but there you go. There's something.
Yeah, he's got a task for tomorrow, but you know, it says came in with, I don't know what that means, May. But no notes as, again, who, what, where, why. We're missing that. You know, that's definitely an opportunity. You know, you guys want to pay real close attention to TSQs. You know, that, of course, is a customer that went online, built a quote. So TSQ, HDQ, same thing. You know, hopefully we see a better note here, which we don't. You know, task that says new TSQ. I don't know if that's automated. Mike, is that automated?
No, that was hand type.
Yeah, so I mean, he put in a task for a new TSQ. He grabbed it like he was gonna do something with it, didn't do anything with it, and then our next follow-up is January 5th, which kind of.
It's interesting. It's interesting on this one because if you scroll down, you'll see David Jarusik's name is on this lead as well. Do you guys know who David Jarusik is in retail?
It's from the BDC.
Yeah. So, you know, sometimes you have to wonder, you know, was this grabbed by someone? It was grabbed, it looks like, 719? These are 719. So these are after we've closed. So did someone try and grab this so the BDC wouldn't work it, right? I mean, sometimes we're defeating our own purpose. Did anybody talk to this customer? Doesn't seem like it.
It was at Mike. What time zone is this person in? Do you know?
Don Lewis is Pacific.
So it was actually at 5:19. But so
that's a good point. But still, it doesn't look like we actually talked.
Late in the day, so even work 5:19. He should have definitely called the customer. So we get it taken care of. So we're missing it. And then what else, you know, even if he would have called the customer yesterday and got a no answer, what's the other issue that you see here, team?
It's glaring.
The quote follow-up is a system-generated task, and if it's not adjusted, it can expire.
Well, good, but what? So let's say that we did call this customer yesterday and they didn't answer the phone.
What's our call case? Hey, what's our call?
Didn't reach our call or log a call saying what you did, if you did anything.
Well, that. But when should have been our next?
Should have a follow up for tomorrow.
Would have been today.
For the next day.
Would have been today, but yeah, you got what I mean. I know what you're saying. Mark, did you have a question? I think your hand was up.
Yeah, I did. You know, you're talking about making sure the notes are detailed. So far, all I see is kind of like like one sentence, like short notes that are in the subject line. My question is about like the pathway. Like once you're in the opportunity, where does the SDC go to add these like detailed notes, like the how, I guess. How do they add these notes?
I can show you how to do that. So I'm not going to actually save it, but if you just hit log a call right here, this is where they put it. This is where they put it in. And you can type like, and I'm not going to, but like you can type as much as you want in the subject line. Like, I mean, I think there is a limit, but you can kind of see like it's a lot.
Okay, that was my question.
Hit the limit. And here's the reason behind why the idea of why you put as much as you can into the subject line. And I'm not saying you can't use the comments field, but when you're reviewing, when you're just quickly reviewing stuff, if you put better notes in the subject line, it's easier to read. So like when you're going back through your notes and you're going back through the details, if you hit expand all, you can see more. But it's a little bit easier. The more you put in the subject line, the better it is. If you got to write a storybook, then yeah, you can go beyond and put it in the comments field down here, and then you would just hit save. I'm not going to actually hit save because I don't want to put it in here, but that's where you do it. So I mean that's kind of where, as we go into the teaching training aspect of it, we want to see that type of follow up. So like same thing, we'll just stay on this one since it's basically the same thing. We're looking at Alexis Flores. 8 leads yesterday. So TSS, we know that she put in. So they should have good notes, right? Because they interacted with the customer. So Dina Trujillo, TSS. Description was a site check, was an appointment that she had set. No notes. But again, we know she talked with that customer because they came in. So better notes, but still not telling us who, what, where, why, who's involved, what are they going to put in it? Obviously this customer is probably pretty hot, right? What else do you see that's I would say is probably a prop? And again, the notes aren't good, so maybe the January 28th follow-up is correct, but that's quite a ways out in my mind based on the notes. Natalie, did you have a question?
Yeah, just about the automated date with the quote follow-up. It was actually a question I was going to have for Mike. Is there any way we can have that changed to where the quote follow-up is automated toward either like the following day or that day? Is there any way we could get Salesforce to change that for us?
Yeah, that might be an option for us with the ETT.
Not right now.
But not right now.
Now, let me show you this though. So when that system generated date automates, all they have to do is change the date, and they can change the date to earlier. Going back to that was me and Mike actually were on that committee. That wasn't really what we asked for when they rolled this out, but it's still a little bit of a fail-safe from what we had before, which was before we had that automated task, we had no task generated. So it was kind of the idea was it was a little bit of a fail-safe just as a reminder so that there'd be something in there versus nothing. But yeah, they should just be changing the date. But in general, my concern based on the notes is we're basically we're not going to call this customer back for a whole month, which a lot could happen there. Like, are they shopping other people? Again, we don't know. We know a little bit. They're replacing a replacement shed. Sounds like the city's probably going to pay for it. So that sounds like a slam dunk sale to me, right? Now it could be, it looks like the city, I'm assuming that's supposed to see where they're at with city approval, but based on the notes, I don't know why we're waiting until January 28th. could be correct, but the notes don't tell us that. Also doesn't tell us the who, what, where, why, assuming financing isn't going to be involved because I'm assuming the city's paying for it, but we don't know. Lots of opportunity within the notes and, having the right follow-up. Also, what else is wrong with this?
The staging?
Yeah. Is that the right stage? I mean, if anything, I would sort of, where do you think they should be?
Quoting.
Probably one of these two, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, we did a design for them. Looks like we actually did 3 designs for them. So we got a nice looking building. Probably some opportunities for some more options, but we do got some shelves on there. That's nice to see. Small shed, 6x10, Premier Classic Ranch, but this customer's shouldn't be not ready. They should definitely be there, at least. I mean, if we finalize the design and they said, yeah, this is it, confirming and deciding, or if they said, that's my design, I'm literally just waiting for the check, they really could be in this. They could really almost be ready to purchase if you labeled it out. They definitely should not be a not ready, because that's basically pushing that customer off too far. Now you'll also notice when I moved it back to quoting, it did automate her a task for January 6th, which is probably a better follow-up date than what we had in there already. Because it is interesting, she has a quote follow-up that she had set for January 5th, which she already closed. So, just things we want, as you dig into, just ask questions. Why did you create a task for January 5th? Now that was the automated one, but she just closed it out. Again, that should have just changed the date. So that's another way that when you see people do that type of an activity, it is inflating their activity number by them closing it. Probably just a training issue, but something you want to kind of look into. Okay, so TSQ, again, online customer. So that's kind of scary, right? No activity. And let's see what time it came in. So this came in yesterday at 11:18 a.m. So that was 9:08. I don't know where Alexa's at, so I'm not sure. But 11:18. Either way, definitely plenty of time to call this customer. TSQs, of course, they grab them off the queue, whatever you want to call it. Alexis grabbed it at 12:36. Never called the customer. So,
team, keep in mind, like what's foot traffic look right now? Like these are big questions you should be digging into every day. We're after sales. Why wouldn't there be some major notes? Like I left them a voicemail, I texted them, sent them an email, I'm gonna set a task for tomorrow. Like this is where our teams have got to be aggressive. We're missing the boat here, folks.
Yeah, as much as we always say, we always talk about how we have we don't always have a sales problem, we have a leads problem. But quite honestly, we have a leads follow-up problem because we get leads that we don't call. And the scariest part about this is me just clicking on stuff at 100% random. Like I did not, prep this. I did not research this so I could be like, there, I gotcha. I found it. This is just digging into somebody and seeing what they have going on. Just to get an idea of it. So, it's good ways to dig in. It's things that you can look at. You can look at their follow-up. You can look at their cadence. So like even if you take the same thing, I'm just sticking kind of on the retail one right now, but this is the same with either one. We look at Don Lewis month to date, he leads the way in leads, which looks great, but we already dug into Don. He has a huge number from yesterday. we're looking at this TSQs. He's got a bunch of TSQs. I think this was the one that we looked at earlier, so we'll stay away from that one. Let's just look at a different one. So this is random customer TSQ. It came in on 12/27, so it's pretty recent. So left a message. What else should we have done on that first attempt, though, that we missed with our call cadence? I should say, what should we have actually done first before we called them?
Text.
Send a text.
Send a text, right? So we should have sent a text because that way
That is a
chances of
text.
us coming up
That
with
is a text, isn't it? Yeah, that is a
maybe
text.
maybe it is. Yeah,
That's the
I don't know. It
text.
does
He
say
should,
that.
so he did
Yeah,
text, but
it says
then he
message.
called.
That is a text. You're right.
Yeah, he texted and he called, so he actually did the right thing to start off.
So he did it right. So he did that, and then he did an outbound call. So he did follow the right cadence there. So we're good. His miss is, what's miss? What should our cadence be on a TSQ or an HDQ or an HDS? When should we have followed up next?
The following day, if no contact was made.
Yeah, so the 27th was Saturday. Assuming that he didn't work Sunday, the 29th should have been what he did, which is yesterday. So he did set the task. My other concern is, what is his task set for? What is his statement?
For free delivery.
So we've never talked to the customer and we're instantly going into promo, right? So I'm going to give you something. Definitely not what we want to be portraying to the customer. So the good news is he did follow cadence as far as when the task should have been. The bad news is he didn't do it. And then digging in deeper, we have not even spoken to the customer yet. And we're already going, let me give you something for free. So just, we got some opportunity there with it. So just looking at call cadences, I'm just going to pick another one completely at random. I'm trying to find one that's a little bit older.
Order canceled.
So this one has no follow-up. We set a task for October 26th of 2026. So it's great. Don's getting a lot of leads, but what are we doing with them? Now it's a TSS, so we're assuming that Don talked to Becky, right? In some form or fashion, she had to have come into the office or called the office or something. The good news is with ETT, our team's gonna have to put in a little bit more detail on sources, so we'd have a better idea of, even if the notes aren't there, if they use it correctly, we'd have a better idea of where they went with it. But no good notes in there, so definitely opportunities within Salesforce on this one. So I'd say, whoever works with Don, probably time to do a deep dive and sit next to him and say, we got some opportunities to drive some sales with you if we dig in a little bit further and see what we got going on. So any questions so far? Makes sense? You see how, retail Home Depot, we're really, while we access it different ways, we're all pretty much seeing, the same thing. So, basically we're looking for good quality notes. We're looking for that call cadence. We're going through that thing, and then we're looking at stages. So I'm going to jump to back to the other dashboard here. Because we kind of been looking at a lot of new stuff right now. We've been focused mostly on new opportunities, but you want to dig into both new and old to see if it's going correctly. So I'm going to go back to the opportunity dashboard. And this is the one I'm going to look at, the all Home Depot opportunities. Now on their home screen, you can click directly into, I'm going to show you. My box will be empty. But this one right here is called all wholesale opportunities, and you can actually click in by stage and see which ones you're looking at. But I'm going to go into all Home Depot opportunities. I can hit view report. I can see everything. This will take forever to pull because I just pulled the entire company. So I'm just going to pop into one particular person. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull up Steve as an example. Here's all of his opportunities. Now, when you're in this report, this is kind of cool. You can sort it by age. So I can look at new stuff. I can look at old stuff. I can sort by stage. Let's kind of talk a little bit about, the stages. So let's look at this customer right off the top. Without me even opening it up, HDS came from the store, 643 days old. So we're coming up on 2 years. Still new qualified. So just scrolling through it high level. Hopefully there's probably a lot in here. So this is a good story of, why our call cadence is so important. So March 27th, 2024 is when this came in. The good news is we looks like we did all three things. We called them, voicemail, left message, sent a text. The bad news is what?
We didn't do anything else after that.
So from March 27th, really until December 17th, we actually didn't call this customer because these two in the middle here, those are automated. That's marketing sending that out for them. So that's not really good follow, right? Then we left a message that the call center on December 17th. So Steve, or SDS, actually never called this customer. Last year we didn't do. So anything happened with this customer? If you're still battling, this is available. And that's when you're sitting down with somebody, say, okay, Steve, call this customer. Play this thing, play it along. You actually have to pick up the phone, make that phone call, see where they're at. Because what we're seeing here is that if you have this many customers and you qualify, they look at the whole thing. This customer's 783 days old.
Hey, Chris, question, just this whole list that you're looking at. So this is all of the opportunities. Can you just define that for everybody on here, what that means?
So it's all active opportunities that are owned by that particular person.
Does it matter if they have a future task or not?
Doesn't matter if they have a future task. Everything they do, everything they have. This would be if I was working next to them, maybe just report, which has a little wheel in here where you can dig in by a stage. And part of the reason I'm talking a lot about station is because when we get into ETT, for both channels, getting people in the right buckets is going to be super important. Now, it's not important right now because it is. You get a lot of noise in here because what if, this customer's in here is being qualified? Is this customer really qualified? Like, are they viable? What are the chances of it? Again, we all have stories. We close a customer and stay on the system forever. But if they have a bunch of noise in their sales force, how do you dig in and really find out who you should call? chances are they're 783 days old. If they were going to buy a shed when they, when we called them on November 8th, they probably already bought a shed. Like, I don't think they waited 2 years. They probably bought a shed from somebody. It definitely didn't do it there. So, I mean, moving into not ready is not the end of the world. The customer can still have, they're still going to get automated stuff. They're still going to, you can still set a future task, but is this customer really viable anymore? Probably not. They probably got a lot of noise in there. So we want to clean it up so that, if you look at their stage, if you look at the right stages, you should have a good idea of who's hot, who's not, who I should be calling during a promo close. You shouldn't have this many people in new qualified. Realistically, if I'm looking at new qualified, what do you guys think realistically you should see most people in? If we follow call cadence, right? I would say within 30 days, if we follow call cadence, we should be able to move them somewhere else within 30 days. You think that's pretty realistic for the most part? 30 days,
Yeah.
somewhere else.
I don't want to be too forward here, Chris, but for everybody that's on here and specifically for my people that are on here, is how are you going to keep your head straight and manage these pipelines? And I think we just got to be really honest with, like, anytime we're spinning our wheels on busy work, it doesn't pass the straight face test. It's like a simple question to Steven's got to be, Steven, you tell me if I'm wrong, Chris, but I'm going to spit this out real quick. You got to be
We already know that Steve's got stuff in here that's very old. That's probably not viable. We probably should move it to not ready, get off the thing, and make sure that people are what the customer's putting in the shed, what his pain points are, what his needs are. And then what's worse is December 10th, didn't do it. I don't know why he has two tasks that are basically the same for December 10th, but either way, we failed to follow up with this customer. But this is what it tells you. Because Steve has so much noise in his sales force with all this old stuff that's not viable at all, this is probably a viable customer that we've missed. Because now it's December 30th. You know, is this guy still a customer? You know, we've missed out. Like, is that good customer service? It's not good. Like, we've failed this customer. So same thing, we're gonna look at a new one. HDS, different customer, 23 days old. So again, one thing I noticed, I see this a lot, and this is just makes their activities look higher. This, I think this is a text. So he sent a text, so he did follow the cadence, and then he sent a call. You don't need to do two separate activities. Like, that's one thing. You call them and send a text. He did set a task for the next day, but didn't do it. So again, we're in a sales crunch. We got leads coming in, but we don't really follow up with them. So I mean, like, this is where we got to dig in and say, hey, we've got a problem. Like, we've got new customers that we are not calling. And this is where you can turn Salesforce into a gold mine, because this is a new customer. We're not talking about digging for a 10% 1-year-old plus customer. We're talking about, these are new customers. These should fall very well into that 30% close rate, where we should be closing 30% of these customers. And we're just wasting all. We made one attempt and went by the wayside. At this point, if we call the customer, we should be able to move them into another stage relatively quickly, which is hopefully what we are successful.
So that we can diagnose, course correct, and demand, quite frankly, that our teams execute in Salesforce. But just look at these dollar amounts that, as Chris is scrolling through here. And if we go through every single person, it's a lot of money. So thank you for letting me get on my soapbox. I just want to underscore what an important topic this is, but also important that we execute this as the field sales leadership, and we don't stop talking about it. There are going to be some enhancements that come through with ETT in the spring, but that's not going to absolve our sales team of their responsibility and our responsibility to achieve excellence in Salesforce. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, Hey, Chris, one thing before we, first of all, Jacob, love you, proud of you, miss you. Thanks for all you do. What I was going to point out too on this, especially on the retail side, that if you've got leads like this that are this old, which we do, we can look at this all over and we see these things. This is a great opportunity to give a bunch of these leads to somebody who's brand new and has no pipeline, that's struggling to get, right? Like if they've just come on, like the doors aren't swinging, but we have sales team members that'll sit on these leads. They're never going to raise their hand and say, take these away from me, because they're hoping that 4 years down the road, that customer is going to buy something and they're going to just get the sell after not doing a thing. You use these leads sometimes to just move them around and get them to somebody that'll work them. You got aggressive new salespeople that you want to get off to a fast start. Move them around. That's what I got. Sorry.
No, absolutely. And the other thing, along those same lines on the depot side is if you look at somebody that's got so much they're just not getting to their sales force, you got a couple reasons that it could be. Could be a training issue. Could be the wrong person. Could simply be they've got too many stores, so they spend too much time driving around and not enough time in Salesforce. Could be that they need to drop 3 or 4 stores. So lots of different ways you can look at this. Natalie, you have a question?
I was just going to comment based on what Jacob was saying. And so I'm not sure. I've been trying to search for like this training deck that I found when I first started, which was a little over a year ago. And it was like a pipeline guidance. And when I saw it, it had all these stages with timelines that I didn't really agree with, because it wasn't going to actually help manage that opportunity. So I kind of like recreated it a little bit. And so like, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, or like if it's a different direction than what, Tough Shed is going. But really like new qualified, I see that as it should be no more than 7 days. And that's only if the customer is not replying back to you. So whether they are in HDS or in TSQ, TSI, whatever it is, but usually they're there for just about 2 days at a maximum once they're quoting with you. Then keeping them into the quoting stage, and that they should be in that quoting stage as long as they are still engaging with you and communicating back. And then that's when the ASDS or SDC is able to take it to confirming, deciding, and for the reasons that you have said, and then or ready to purchase. And then if not, putting them into a not ready. And if it's someone who's been in quoting and never got put into confirming, deciding, or ready to purchase, then it's whenever the customer has pretty much disengaged in communication with you. And I tell my team within about like that 3 to 4 week mark, if there's been absolutely no response, then you need to put them into not ready. And then follow with your, kind of like not ready cadence and flow.
Yeah, the only thing that happens with not ready is that it falls off of reporting. So like that the concern is, and there are some reports that you can look at to see if people are moving things in and not ready too quickly. But yeah, absolutely. New qualified, you should be in and out of new qualified pretty quick. 30 days, I say that's really the max, because like within 30 days, if we follow the call cadence, they should not be there anymore, because they're going to tell you something. Even if that something is don't call me anymore, like if you call them, if we do the call cadence where you called them and texted them, 11 times in week 1, week 2 and 3, you've done it twice, week 4, you've done it twice. There's no way you've called a customer, called and texted that many times, and the customer is just sending you to voicemail and ignoring your texts. They're going to tell you something, good, bad, or indifferent. They're going to tell you something. And that's where we miss, because we want to move that customer somewhere else. You might go from new qualified to not ready because the customer says, hey, you know what? I just wanted to win a shed. I have no interest in buying one. Or, you know what? I do have interest in a shed, but I'm way out. It's going to be like 18 months before I go there. Rowan. Good question.
Yeah, Chris, you mentioned just now, what are the subtle nuances when you put somebody in a specific stage from a marketing and reporting standpoint? You just mentioned if the put are not ready, they go off the reporting. Are there indicators when you put them in a specific stage where they get put off reports or they no longer get marketed to?
Well, so, and this is more specific to the Home Depot side, but when you put someone in not ready on the Home Depot side, you no longer have to have active tasks. So that's what happens to that customer. Now, all of the stages still get marketing the same. That doesn't change. The difference is when they go into not ready, they no longer are on the no future task report. That's the one difference. So like what you'll find is like some people will be very clean on the opportunities with no future task report because they pop everybody into not ready and then they're not on that reporting anymore. So like you want to look at, there are a couple reports, I believe both sides have this report, where you can go into Home Depot opportunities that have been moved to not ready sooner than 6 months. So that can, you can dig into this and see, why they've been moved in there. Why did they go to not ready so quickly? And these all are good things for a deep dive. So like, if I'm looking at this one, this customer was an HDS. It's 32 days old. Why are they in not ready? So like this one's concerning because sent in your text with contact information, asked about a shed 2 weeks ago. They're getting the automated. We set a future task, but this customer's not ready. We haven't quoted them. Hopefully we've found out some information because we did call this customer here. We just don't, this customer probably should be, really they really didn't make it out of new qualified because really, if you look at new qualified, it means we have to, exit criteria. It tells you this stuff here too. We put these notes in here for you is to get out a new qualified, we should be sending them a quote. So if we've made contact, we've learned enough about the customer to send them a design, then they go into quoting. That didn't happen with this customer. So I don't know why they're not ready already. That's a little bit concerning. They really should still be here because we did not send them a quote. But this is just, we could keep looking at these for hours. Because quite honestly, we could keep finding different scenarios. So I'll kind of open it up for two things. One, I would tell you is, one, you guys all have smaller territories with and this is what Jacob said, the reason we made this investment in the DSM position is so you guys can spend more time doing this in person with your team. Now, with that being said, if you've got somebody that you need to address this with right away and it's an outbound market that you're not going to be able to get to for a couple weeks, you can do the same activity via Teams. You have your ASDS, STC, share their screen. You pull it up, you have them drive, you walk them through it, you have them click, you do this, you have them make phone calls while you're on the calls. You can do a remote deep dive just as easy as you can do an in-person one. Especially if you got an outbound person that you need to get to that's hard to get to. In person,